Good day, Commanders. Rocket here. This is RPG Gaming. Gotta watch your realms video for your all enjoyment. We're talking the Dracula Colab upcoming heroes. The Bloodsuckers, if you will. So we got 4 of them. We got the Count, Mina, Doctor, and Vlad. Vlad, I believe, is the one we're getting for free. We just have to do all the things. And also, there is a soul stone for him. So that's very cool. Very cool, very cool. Now, each of them, well, other than Mina, have exclusive artifacts, all best in slot. The Count increases damage, and then he absorbs 10% of the attack from each of the 2 allies that have Soul Rot on the field. Super strong, best in slot, 100% no doubt. The Good Doctor increases his damage, and every time he launches a giant axe attack, he reloads 4 mithril bolts. His kit revolves around his mithril shrapnel exploding, and his axe attack increasing the likeliness of the shrapnel exploding. A lot like Kai in a way, only maybe better. Maybe not. But nonetheless, best in slot artifact for sure, 100%. Vlad the Impaler. Now he is a tactician, and his kit revolves around him, increasing his block. Increasing his block and increasing his damage for when he's taking hits. So you want this guy taking hits. Malric is surely where he will be very useful. But nonetheless, best in slot artifact for sure, 100%. Vlad Dracula. The Scarlet Marshal charges across battlefields using War Frenzy to shatter enemy lines and building eternal bastions with flesh and blood. My man Vlad puts his blood, sweat, and tears into his combat. I respect that. Now, he's a cultist, does physical attack, he's got 2 tile range. Details, his HP is okay, but he does get a lot of buff HP. Attack doesn't matter, defense is great. 2.4. So pretty decent attack interval, pretty standard. So his damage scales off of HP, and he inflicts War Frenzy on blocked enemies, and it reduces his attack interval. So you're going to see his awakenings, and his attack interval just gets faster and faster. So you want to build him with a lot of attack speed. AoE damage, 5 enemies. So his ult, now 15 seconds, and I believe... oh no, that's the Count. So he increases his block by 2. His exclusive artifact increases his block by 2. His normal block is 3. His artifact increases block by 1. His ultimate increases his block by 2. He has 3 block. That's 6 block. This guy's blocking 6. And with his bond skill to Lady Mina, now when he is defending demon soldiers and he casts all and he travels to another location, he will drag them with him. So if you're using him in Malric's Hall and you have him at the bottom and you at the top something where you can't run 2 defenders, so there's some leakers get by, so you can actually take him from the bottom to the top, or from the top to the bottom. Say you have a boss, and if the boss is coming from the bottom, so you need the tank there, right? So you have him backing up the top to stop the leakers. Say the Malric, one of the things is they have one less block, so there's always blockers getting by. And if the boss comes from the bottom, so you can move him, and he also drags the enemies with him, so it's not like he's just, all right, peace, and then they just run past him through the portal. No, he takes them with him. So you really want the bond skill. You really want the bond skill. If you're beginning, mid, late game, if you're going for these guys, try to go for as many of them as possible. They are limited, so try to get them. They're just really cool. Above all else, if they're not extremely good, they're very good heroes, but above all else, they are just really freaking cool, man. Like, really cool. So when he's taking direct damage, he can counterattack, and after casting a skill, he restores some rage. So he's all about taking hits. The more hits he takes, the more counterattacks, the more War Frenzy he stacks up, the more damage he does, the more HP he gets. This increases his HP 20%. Just going through these kits real fast. When I pull all these heroes, I'll do an in-depth showcase on each one. But right now we're just going through kind of what they are, what they do, and where you might use them, and why you want them. Okay. So, yeah, just more attack interval. Up to 25%, so that's great. And then we got HP, of course. Extra damage up to 30%. So that's great. And then a little survivability. Restores 2 HP for every enemy target attacked by brutal suppression. And brutal suppression for the counterattack. So every time there's a counterattack, he's going to restore HP. Every time there's a counterattack, he's going to increase his damage by 30%. So pretty cool. This guy's like tactician, support, AoE, DPS, physical, but cultist. Just all around pretty helpful guy, I think. It's going to be a lot of different places you can use him. Now, probably my most wanted, well, it's between her and the Count, really. But they're so 2 different things. Now, these other 3 heroes, they are piercers. Mina is Northerner Piercer. Now, her range, if you have a Lord affiliated, her range sticks out 1 more. So you can pretty much use her. She's like a Mari 2.0. Okay. Now, her basic attack is kind of weird. It does magic damage, but it's just restoring rage. So you're just trying to make her with as much attack speed as you can to try to get that rage up. Her ultimate is cheaper. Well, let's back up. Let's back up, okay? With the Scholar's Wisdom, she explores the darkness. And with a lover's heart, she embraces eternity. Reason collapses before the blood oath, as dissent becomes the final faith. Okay, yeah, so her ult is cheaper than Mari's. Goes down to 900, and she's going to be getting that rage back. She's got the same ult range as Mari. The only thing is, her ult deals a bunch of damage, okay, up to 5 enemies. And it's physical damage, and she inflicts 15% magic, or physical vulnerability. And this is the most important part of it. When she casts her ult, she's gaining 40% of the current attack of the ally with the highest attack in the field, which is crazy, right? Because her bond skill is gonna actually, she has 2 bond skills. Her first bond skill with the Count, she's gonna gain, not only is she gaining 40% of their attack, she's gaining 20% of their crit damage. So you can build her a lot of different ways. And then Vlad, Her enhanced basic attack is triggered twice. So her talent basic attack, it inflicts blood sigil and slow, and then every 5 attacks it inflicts those on 5 enemy targets, and it deals 100% AoE damage. So that's just doing a little bit more damage, a little bit more slow, a little bit of more blood sigil stacks. Really nice to have those bond skills. Her awakenings, the attack interval is reduced by 30%. That's crazy huge. Cost -2, maybe some arena stuff there, but I'm not too sure if she's really viable there. Mostly GVG, I'm thinking, and Matrix. She might be able to nuke down and slow and stun those enemies before they get to the boss in Matrix, and you will maximize your score. If not, she might even be able to nuke down those bosses, so you might be able to pair her with somebody else. And then if you're using like Talon, Volca, DPS Torador, you want these heroes for Matrix, because they will do much better. I assure you, I guarantee it. So this one here is what makes her most viable. I think out of any of these heroes, this A3 is probably the one you want most, because that's going to make her act just like Mari and GVG. So say those dogs are getting by, well, she's not only going to slow those dogs down, but also stun them, cause a mobilized state. But if she can cast her ult, instead of Mari just kind of delays the inevitable and slows those dogs down or skeletons down until they're in the portal, Mina might do enough damage. Probably not if the dogs are full HP, but she'd probably do enough damage to finish them off if they're already chunked down. Not to mention that the level 7 epic dogs, demon soldiers, are 25% magic res. So they're hard to kill for magic, but she does physical damage. So she's going to be really cool for there. And with her range, like we said, as a piercer, it's going to stick out like that normal piercer range. And Lady A teams, I think, is going to be a thing for Mina, rather than Delua or whichever the Blossom Girl is. Okay. And then when enemies die with Blood Sigil, they provide energy and increase their attack another 4% up to 20%. So she's getting 40 from the highest attack hero, 20 from there, 20% of their crit damage. She has very low base stats. Very low base stats. But you're getting 40% of the highest attack. So if they have 20%, you're getting, or 20,000, you're getting like 8,000 attacks. Or attack actually goes up to 10, and then you get another 20%, so 12. So her attack probably goes up to 12,000 base. You know what I mean? And then you're building off of that too. So you're getting her about 20,000, probably a little less than you'd have a normal mage. And you can't run her in the tier, or maybe you can run her in the tier. She is a mage. So yeah, she's doing some really good damage. Really cool looking here. She's got her mirror there, counts there. Creepy shit. Nice hat. Alright, that's enough of Mina. Great hero. The Count. Now, the Count is running alongside Valderon. So if you are lucky enough to pick up Valderon on your way to the Count, Godspeed. That's cool. You can probably run them together, but you're probably going to be running the Count with a Piercer if we're being honest. So if you don't pull Valderon, don't be disappointed. Plus, if I'm not, to be honest, I'm probably coming out with a new Chaotic Lord and a new Piercer Lord sometime soon. So this is the guy. An immortal avatar of Curse, linking with allies to drain life and stack damage. Unleashes an ultimate that deals multiple hits to enemies in range and inflicting anti-healing. So this guy is basically like a Yuri 2.0. Except he also does big damage on base attack. his whole kit revolves around Soul Rot, and his Soul Rot, he basically casts it to 2 allied heroes, and it kind of takes their HP, it takes his HP, his kit, and turns it into damage. And he's like Yuri in a way, because his ultimate will attack an enemy and then move on when it kills that enemy, and move on and move on. And the lower the enemy's HP, the more damage he does, kind of like Sargak, but we'll get into all that. Weird basic range tile here. It goes up to 200% damage. Now his attack interval is really slow, but you get up to down to about 6, 5.5, 4.8 if you're crazy, but 5-6 seconds, keeping his DPS intact, and he will just sync up to the allied heroes and do an attack off of them 200% every once in a while, which will probably come in handy. But the big thing is his ultimate and his range. You'll notice that he has the Piercer range, and he's also Piercer faction. So if you pair him with a Piercer Lord, he's going to gain another tile range on that. And then if you have Lady Mina, his ultimate range is going to increase even more. So he's hitting cross map. So in GVG, he's probably going to be able to take out those fools. If that fool comes along, he's going to be able to take out that fool maybe. I don't know. I'm very curious to see what this crazy range, and him being a ground tile. So his block is 2. So him paired with a Carnelian, right? Really cool. Really cool. Ultimate deals 10%. This is where he does more damage to enemies based off of their lower HP. So just more damage like Sargak. And then for every 1 allied hero in range, he gains like 8% rage, or 10% rage and 8% damage. And then another 5 or 6% penetration or whatnot. The more heroes in his range right off the bat, the better. And his awakenings are pretty broken too. This one, for those 2 heroes that he inflicts Soul Rot on with the highest attack, they're going to gain a 30% damage increase. So super strong buff there. Some attack. 30% defense reduction. So when he's targeting those enemies like an anti-air, it's 30% defense mitigation. And he's just going to go through those swarms like crazy. Penetration plus 8%. And then during the ultimate, the more times an enemy is hit, and this is just like Yuri, her A3 is kind of like this, but this is better. Her A3 is every unit that dies within her range during the ultimate increases their attack by 4% or something, up to like 40%. It's a lot. It's a lot, but this, they don't need to have the units die, so you can pop his ult and he's just gonna constantly do more damage until that enemy's done, that enemy's done, that enemy's done. And if his range is like that, he's gonna be able to sit right at the back and reach the portal. So anti-air arena, 100% for sure. This guy's gonna be clutch. GVG to be determined, but I'm gonna test that. So great hero, great hero. Last but not least, well, maybe least, no, definitely not least, Dr. Van Helsing. So yeah, he works off of mithril bolts and mithril shrapnel, and having those little mithril shrapnels explode. There's a 30% chance that his basic attack will make them explode, and there's a 60% chance that his axe attack will make them explode. He was a lot like Kai. If you know Kai at A3 can pretty much nuke things across map in anti-air arena. The good doctor is going to do much the same. So, once a scholar who wielded a scalpel. until Count Dracula took everything from him. Now he has become a hunter of the endless night, with mithril as his arrows and hatred as his guide. So his talent is basically everything. So each basic attack, which is AoE, and all his stats represent that of an AoE marksman. Attack, a little bit low, but average. Attack speed or attack interval, all that stuff. Okay? So his talent, each basic attack loads a mithril bolt. So every time he attacks, he's loading 4 bolts. After 3 attacks, there's 12 bolts. He'll attack them all rapidly. They do 40% damage. It's quite a bit of damage. And they're doing 20% physical damage vulnerability. Okay, the mithril shrapnel, it has a 30% chance to explode when taken damage from the basic attack or the giant axe. It does 150% damage. So if you've got 10 of them out there and 3 of them explode, that's going to do 450% AoE damage. And his ult, he gains 20% penetration, and the chance to ignite the mithril shrapnel with the giant axe is 60%. The giant axe, so for after each talent, so that means every 4 attacks, his 4th attack is going to launch the bolts, and it's going to launch the giant axe. Giant axe does 600% AoE damage to the farthest target in range. His range is huge. Look at that. 1, 2, or 3. Yeah, okay. Normal piercer range. But he's going to have 1 extra on there. So, a lot like Kai. But if he gets lucky and all of his mithril shrapnel explodes, then he's going to nuke everybody. And also the giant axe executes enemies with health lower than 20%. Really cool. So again, the awakenings, these heroes being limited are going to, like a limited time offer, limited, are going to be really hard to awaken. So you would think their awakenings should be really strong, but expensive. Not expensive, just soul stones, you know, you're only getting 3 or 4 of those every year, so you gotta pick and choose where you put them. Anyways, the Awaken 1. So every time that the mithril shrapnel explodes consecutively, it increased by 20% damage. So if one explodes doing 150%, the next one's doing 170, the next one's doing 190, and so on and so forth. Really cool. Really RNG, but man, be sweet when it works out. This guy going to be great for Matrix. Obviously, he's going to be huge for Matrix. Ultimate duration plus 5 seconds. Beautiful. Damage plus 8%. And during the attack, ultimate reduces attack interval by 30%. So that's really huge with AoE because they always have a higher attack interval, 3.5. You probably get it down to 1.8 and 1.2 after his Awakening 5. But like I say, Awakening 5 be crazy, but he would be able to solo the one side in the Matrix probably. Yeah, that's it. Just a nice short and sweet right now. Like I say, once I get the heroes, we'll make a more in-depth thing. But yeah, if you stayed till the end, as always, I appreciate your time. Thanks. Bye.